Hall of Fame weekend. Wickenheiser, Carbonneau, Nedemansky, Rutherford, Jerry York, and Jim Rutherford. Sergei Zubov goes in as well. We had Brian Burke on earlier, Justin, and he talked about Guy Carbonneau and making room for the defensive forward. You're going to learn about my little pet peeves. A lot on this show.
Let's get started, shall we?
Can we make room for the defensive defenseman in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Now, the reason I bring this up, I think if you go back and look at it, who would have been the last defensive defenseman that went into the Hall of Fame?
I mean, is there one?
Rod Langway.
Okay.
Before that, the cynical side of me just says Leo Boyven. We got to go back all that way. But it is the one area where I still think the Hall needs to perhaps pay more attention.
Well,
when
listen,
you're
we're
talking
awards
about hockey
voters,
players,
and we don't even vote on a yearly award for a defensive defenseman.
right? You know who I'd put in right away? Adam Foote.
Great pick.
Adam Foote, as far as defensive defensemen go, because everyone just, look at the points, look at the impact of the points. If you're going to put defensive forwards in there and ignore the stats and look at defensive, look at shutdown, why don't we do that with actual defensemen?
I just think that because it is difficult to measure defensive contribution, and you and I, as voters, not able to see every team play as much as we should, it's a very subjective thing to say that this guy is a good defensive, so we don't have the stats to lean on.
Shot suppression. I mean, that's why we love, Matthias Ekholm.
Yep.
That's why you love Nicholas Chalmerson. Like, you can make the case for those guys.
Look at Dubas over here at the analytics.
No, never mind. That's your bailiwick. Matty Marchese joins us here live in studio, our producer for Matty Has Questions.
Kevin Lowe.
Kevin Lowe. There's a going away. Absolutely. That's
I think he was on my list, actually.
Who should, by the way, have his number retired. I still can't figure that one out. I still don't know why 4 Lowe is not up there.
Yeah.
You talk to all those older guys, too, and they'll tell you the same thing. Yeah, I should be there.
As important as anyone there.
Putting together that list that I put together for you guys today of guys not in, you start to realize that there are some pretty glaring holes on that. You talk about defensive, not that I'm the analyst here, but talking about defensive defensemen, and then we talk about defensive forwards. Guy Carbonneau's in. Rod Brindamore should be a shoo-in.
Well, that's the thing. You open doors, right? You start to
Exactly.
open doors. Let me give you, okay, Borny, I'm going to give you this one. I'm just going to give you a stat line. I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Okay.
Okay, career stat line. 1,400 games.
Lots.
522 goals. 1,063 points. Almost 3,000 penalty minutes. And a Stanley Cup. Is that a Hall of Fame line? Is that a Hall of Fame stat line for you?
I feel like you're making me contradict myself on something I said earlier this week, but I mean, that sounds like a Hall of Fame line.
You just put Pat Verbeek in the Hall of Fame.
All right. Congratulations to Mr. Verbeek.
Verbeek's numbers are sick.
Wow, that is
and like that has remained unchanged since, like, this isn't just something you stumble. That's the same stat line going back to 2002.
Okay, so quickly, if you're going to do that one, 1,144 games. 440 goals, 512 assists, 952 points, 2,972 penalty minutes. Yes or no?
Is that Tocchet?
Mm-hmm.
That's Rick Tocchet?
Mm-hmm. Again, you open doors.
You open doors, right? Just like I still maintain that a couple of the reasons why Eric Lindros got in, I think he should have been in a lot earlier than he did. But I think by putting Pavel Bure in and those stats and the career shortened by injury, I think that opened the door for the justification philosophically in that room to say, we put Pavel in, we got to put Lindros in.
The guy I always go to is Pierre Turgeon. His numbers are too good. Too good to not get in. Over 1,300 points, just over 1,200
goals.
How relevant is it how you feel about the player, like over the course of Pierre Turgeon's career? Was he ever one of the 10 best players? I mean, maybe for a bit.
But and the era comes into effect. Look at the guys
I think
he
games
played
against. Though, like that's the thing too. Like games like that's 1,200 games for Pierre Turgeon. I still think that longevity is.
Oh, I think it's an underrated factor.
Is a big one.
If people decide that you're worth it and they want you around for that long and you can stay healthy and contribute at a high level for a long time, that is undeniably valuable to me.
All right, I've taken my own segment off the rails.
No one wants to talk about Lauren Shabbat, even though no one's seen him play in the selection committee.
Ask Borny about Flash Hollett. He goes, "Who the heck is Flash Hollett?"
In the Hall of Fame. Okay.
First defenseman to score 20 goals.
Lauren Shabbat should be in there too.
All right, last night, Myles Garrett of the Cleveland Browns swung his helmet and hit Mason Rudolph right in the head. What's the most violent thing that you've seen on the ice?
Hang on now. This is actually really amazing because Jeff Merrick and I did not know each other overly well when I first moved to Toronto. We knew each other from some sort of, how it is online these days.
We meet each other?
To be honest, man, I don't even know.
All right.
But I do know that Jeff invited me up to his beautiful home, and during the course of the evening, he pulled out some videos from about 1482.
I've been an amateur collector for years.
He has some unbelievable footage of some old hockey games. Would you like to tell the story of the most violent thing that ever happened on the rink? Someone smashed someone over their skull with their stick, like executioner style.
Was that the Ted Green?
No, there's no video of that. There's only stills.
I can't believe it doesn't come immediately to mind. It was the most violent.
Or you think of the
chop.
Sanderson Falkenberg with the punch from the '65 Memorial Cup. I still think that at the
Billy Guerin on whoever was in training camp there, that was an overhead chop. That was underrated violence.
Drainey. What's
Drainey?
That was a shot. To me, Parajoygin on Stafford.
Oh, I think I remember that one.
Remember that in the American Hockey League? Parajoygin would have got. Geez, the suspension was lengthy. That was bad. That was in Hamilton, face down, and Parajoygin just like golf swing at his head.
Yeah,
that was a bad one.
Chris Simon stepped on whose face? Who's there?
Chris Simon has stepped on guys. But you know what though, Parajoygin, because Garrett Stafford went in like convulsions.
Yep. Who is the player that the average hockey fan needs to know more about and needs to watch more?
That's probably just keeping the theme with Dallas today. Heiskanen. I think Miro Heiskanen in Dallas is just an exceptional defenseman who, I don't know, he doesn't come up in the conversation to maybe the best in the league, but he's a guy who Dallas isn't Dallas without a player like that. He's been unbelievable since day one there. Great poise.
Watch Anaheim Ducks games. Hampus Lindholm. I still think he's one of the defensemen, one of the best. And Silverberg too, as far as a two-way winger goes. But yeah, no, Hampus Lindholm to me is the guy.
Historically, can you remember a team more reliant on two players than the Oilers with McDavid and Draisaitl?
You're tempted to say Lemieux and Yager, but like the rest of the lineup was real good too.
Yeah, they had Francis there at one point with them, and Kevin Stevens
for a long time. Although I guess there were other players that were good too. But I remember that top line in Chicago with Denny Savard and Steve Larmer and Al Secord. I mean, that was super top.
How about those Buffalo teams with the French connection? Were they any good? I don't remember if.
Oh no, there were players down. There were players down the lineup too, and good and underrated players. After the French connection.
Yeah,
For those that are watching, go look up McDavid and Draisaitl's numbers in losses, and then go look it up in wins. I'm telling you, it will open your eyes.
Yeah, one more quick one.
Dougie Hamilton tied for 13th in points right now. Is he a dark horse for the Norris Trophy?
I don't think he's a dark horse. I think he's well into that conversation.
Yeah, points matter so much.
Right now, him and John Carlson. That's the talk.
Our team's going to be mad they didn't trade for him, and the ones that they did, they're going to be mad they traded him.
It's possible. It's just such a good fit for him there in Carolina. They kind of let him do whatever he wants to do and be the best version of Dougie that he can be.
They're smart in Carolina.
Weird.
They know things.
Yeah.
Writer's Block is next.